There was just the most shocking news in modern history that shook the financial world. A secret internal report from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank says that XRP, the digital asset that was once thought to be just another cryptocurrency, has been named the new global reserve asset. This isn't a story going around among traders or crypto fans. This is a huge change in global finance that means the end of the US dollar's reign as the world's reserve currency and the start of a new era in money. According to the story, XRP will be the main part of a new financial system that will help keep international trade stable, give developing countries access to cash, and make it easier for the economy to recover after an emergency. And if you think this is too good to be true, wait until you hear what comes next. Under this method, the lowest value that XRP can reach is $100,000 per coin. Music. A plan to include digital bridge assets in their global bailout infrastructure is laid out in a paper that is said to have been sent to high-level IMF and World Bank officials. The thinking is easy to understand, but completely new. The cross-border methods we have now are too slow, too expensive, and too reliant on the US dollar. On the other hand, XRP can settle any trade in seconds, whether it's between banks, governments, or corporations, with very little cost and no need for centralized middlemen. According to the story, XRP will replace the old SWIFT system as the main source of liquidity for international settlements. This will allow capital to be instantly moved between countries. Some people are calling it the biggest money boost in the history of the world. Leaked emails are said to show IMF economists talking about how the world's dependence on the US dollar has turned into a systemic risk. The world economy is weak because of debt, inflation, and penalties. The suggested answer is to swap the dollar's role as a world reserve currency for an autonomous neutral digital asset that can work with all currencies. That's a great description of XRP. There have been online copies of public IMF papers for months that talk about integrating digital assets. But this new leak connects those talks directly to XRP by calling it the liquidity standard for the future global financial system. It's a mess on social media. There are tweets from well-known experts and financial insiders saying they saw this coming years ago. Some of them point to Ripple's ongoing relationships with central banks, its work with the Bank for International Settlements, and its membership in the IMF's working group on digital currencies. It's clear that Ripple's whole plan was leading to this very moment when you look at it all together. There were price drops and lawsuits going on at the same time that Ripple was building the framework for the next banking system. That means the $100,000 goal isn't just talk. It's actually a number that was estimated based on how much cash is needed. If XRP becomes the main global bridge asset, it will have to settle trillions of dollars every day. A lot of analysts say that the token's value would have to be a lot higher than it is now in order to give the world's banks enough cash. If XRP was worth $100,000, its total market value would be higher than all other assets put together. This would make it the ideal reserve currency because it is flexible, doesn't have any borders, and is backed by usage around the world, not just one country's economy. There are stories that some central banks have already started to quietly buy XRP through third-party custodial services. Big coordinated moves of XRP between unknown institutional wallets are said to be shown in blockchain data, which really points to some early-stage positioning. It would mean that governments are in charge of the rest of the world and are getting cash before the IMF and World Bank even make their news together. And once that news is confirmed, demand could go through the roof, breaking all records in the crypto area. It's really surprising how publicly the IMF has talked about the need for a neutral settlement layer. Christine Lagarde, 𝗙𝗏, and other important people have suggested in public that the world needs a global financial reset that really levels the playing field between countries. That's a great goal for an open bridge asset like XRP. It's not good for the IMF for another country to control the world's reserve currency. They want a neutral system that they can trust, and XRP gives them that. Music. So, the IMF is said to have laid out a phased rollout plan in the leaked paper. In the first phase, XRP will be tested as a way to settle special drawing rights, which are the IMF's fake reserve currency used for loans around the world. In the second step, XRP is added to the World Bank's emergency liquidity programs. This makes it possible for developing countries to get help in a safe digital form. In the third phase, things really start to change, putting all intergovernmental transactions on XRP's distributed ledger, which will replace fiat currency systems in a way. XRP would act as a link between all national currencies after this change, which would completely digitize global banking. Music. Think about what this means. XRP would be used as the universal settlement medium every time a country borrows money from the IMF, pays off its foreign debt, or trades. It would be like changing all of the financial world's pipes with a network that is faster, cheaper, and works better in every way. No longer do you have to wait 3 workdays for a cross-border transaction. No more fees that never end, problems with changing currencies, and lack of cash. The world moves instantly with XRP. People who aren't sure about the story keep calling it fake or misinterpreted as the excitement grows. But those same critics can't explain why Ripple is forming more partnerships with central banks around the world, or why global organizations like the World Economic Forum keep writing about digital liquidity solutions that can work with each other in their white papers. The fact that Ripple has been working with these groups for years is not an accident. The idea behind Ripple's technology was never for it to be a niche crypto project. The goal from the start was for it to become the base for world finance. That's why the shift won't happen right away, but the gears are already moving. It is said that a number of financial institutions are testing IMF-linked settlement methods that use XRP behind closed doors. Some people in the know say the change could be finished by 2030, which is exactly in line with the UN's goals for digital transformation. The idea that XRP will eventually replace the dollar is no longer just a guess. It's now part of an organized push for the world to become more digital. This really should be a wake-up call for the average trader. The biggest financial powers in the world are, getting ready for a time when XRP is essential. Still, retail buyers don't know much about it. You're wrong to think that you have time to wait. It will be too late to buy in at a good price once the International Monetary Fund and World Bank make their roles known.